This episode of XIV Reborn is brought to you by Audible. For a free 30-day trial, head on over to audible.com/gamebreaker. And while you're there, they're going to give you a free book, too.
Gamebreaker TV.
Yeah, it's time to re-roll on the opening because I screwed it up the first time, but if you aren't watching live, you didn't see it. Welcome to XIV Reborn, episode 42, right here on GameBreaker.tv. I'm Magic Man, aka Mike Byrne. We've got questions, we've got answers, but then we've got more questions that we don't have answers to, but here to help me sort it all out, as he is every week, Mr. Michael Poveromo. Mr. Happy, how are you, sir?
Now, Mr. Witty Happy, please.
Mr. Witty
We already discussed this before the show. Now we have to do the whole thing over again. Ruin the intro again.
That's not gonna happen.
That's not gonna happen at all. You all missed a pretty hilarious moment.
Yeah, if you
Good tonight.
if you don't watch it live, you really should. It's a lot of fun. Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's 4 Pacific. Right here on Twitch.tv/GameBreakerTV. Come and join us. Chat is always a blast, both pre-show and post-show, and right now I'm taking flack in chat from my boy Larry Everett, host of The Republic, right here on GameBreaker, for not having a better intro than The Republic does. They do have a damn good intro. I gotta give it to them. Larry's my man.
We'll figure something out.
Yeah, we'll figure something out. All right, so before we get into it, today it's a viewer question special. Why? Because shit didn't happen this week.
You know what I was expecting? I was expecting you to start by saying, "Oh, we're going to talk about all this new stuff," and we're going to. Oh wait, that's not there. Never mind. We're not doing any of that this week.
It's not there. So when
usually you're good with that kind of stuff when we do intros. You're always good at playing it off like it's something that's real.
Hey man, we're gonna have a blast today. It's like a no holds barred special. I'm looking forward to it. We put the call out early this morning when we realized the 2.5 site/trailer still wasn't up. And so we put the call out to the XIV Nation. Hey, get your questions in. It's going to be an all-viewer question special. And boy, did you guys and gals respond. And we appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Makes the show a lot more interesting. Before we get to those questions, though, Happy, we still don't have a 2.5 trailer or a 2.5 website.
I got to check the lodestone real quick.
It's not going to be there.
Hold on. One sec, I refresh, and okay, it's still not there, just making sure.
It's not gonna be there.
Wouldn't we look like fools if it was there, though? I mean, I'm just...
Everybody on that side of the ocean is asleep right now. Well, not everybody. It's the beginning of the day.
No, Yoshi P never sleeps. Don't lie to me.
That's true. So here's what I've got to ask before we get to the viewer questions. Yoshi P kind of let the 20th slip. In the official posting, it said end of January. Didn't actually say the 20th. We kind of thought, okay, it's the 20th. You know, he accidentally said it. That's probably the date. Most of the time, those sub-sites for the patches or those trailers go live about 10 to 11 days prior to the main patch itself dropping. If it's the 20th, as of this recording, we're 8 days away. We still got nothing. So I got to ask the first question. Is it still the 20th, do you think?
Well, the only thing that in any way makes me think it could still be that is if you look under their warnings for the Eternal Bond system, is they tell you do not register, or if you register on the 19th, 20th, or 21st, those are potential maintenance days, not confirmed maintenance days. So,
but it's a big block of time too. They're not saying one day. They've got a 3-day block of potential times on that warning.
Yeah, I mean, that means they gotta have something coming that day. Maybe that was when they wanted 2.5, but now it's kind of not looking that way. They might need an extra week or so. If it is 10 days, then by the end of the week, we should have a website, I hope, please. Maybe.
And then that would put...
But not the 20th.
That would put the actual drop probably around the 27th, if we're sticking with the Tuesdays.
And if we're sticking with January, which we were told, so Why would we not? Right?
I still gotta stick with January. I mean, if it's backed up into February, then we know there was a problem, right? I mean, because Yoshi P publicly said end of January, and hell, there could be problems. It's a video game, a lot of programming, crazier stuff has happened. So you're saying no on the 20th now, in your opinion?
There's no way. They're not gonna just be like, hey, by the way, here. It's not going to happen.
All right, just to be contrary then, I'm going to stick with the 20th, and I'm going to say the site goes live tomorrow. That'll be Tuesday the 13th.
Okay, I'll agree with you there. I'll agree with site goes live, but I don't agree with the 20th happening.
I'm going to go with the 20th. I mean, the maintenance tentative schedule is still there. It's still published. If the site itself was being withheld due to a potential delay, I think they would have taken those down or modified them. They have not. So I'm going to stay with the 20th. And we'll see a site tomorrow. I'm totally freaking wrong, but that's okay. Because it's just my guess.
It's perfectly okay, because then that means I get to be right.
There you go. Hey, if you want to get a question in live, it still is not too late. We've got a ton of questions from a ton of people to answer. Since it's an all-viewer special spectacular, head on over to Twitter. Use hashtag XIV Reborn, as in the name of the podcast, XIV Reborn. And we'll try and get as many live questions in there as we can. On top of what we've already selected to go through. Now, for those of you, and there were a couple of you that put in a ton of questions, again, thank you, thank you, thank you. No show without you guys, and this week definitely proves it. That put in a bulk of questions. Obviously, I couldn't take them all, but I did take a couple. So I'll read names out, and we'll give credit where credit is due. I did stay away from questions, though, Happy, that you and I have already kind of touched on in one of the last 2 or 3 episodes. Things like, what do we think Before the Fall references? What do we think the Battle of Ishgard's going to look like? If you haven't seen the previous 2 or 3 episodes, go check those out. If you don't see some of the questions you wanted answered on today's show. Before we get to the question zone, important announcement, the next 4 or 5 shows, if you're watching them on YouTube, this isn't going to matter to you. If you're watching them on xivnation.com, this isn't going to matter to you. If you're watching them live, they will still happen on Mondays for about the next month, but it will be at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific, instead of the normal 7 Eastern and 4 Pacific. We'll be making it an hour earlier. You can totally blame me. I got cast in another stage show, but I did not... Happy's wagging the finger. But I did not want to cancel shows or anything, so we're just going to bump it up 1 hour for about a month, and then back to 7 o'clock. So 6 o'clock, Monday, Eastern, on Twitch next week. Let's get to the viewer questions, all right? First one's from chat, from Aquastorm. Do people still play this game? Nope. Next question.
Guess that's it. Show's over.
Show's over.
This was the last show. You didn't know?
All right. First up, Anthony Bodds from Twitter says, serious question. What's a good information source for Final Fantasy XIV that's still active? Something like a Wowhead type site.
Gamer Escape.
Yeah.
Gamer Escape's a nice, easy one. Reddit also has anytime anything anywhere gets said, it ends up on Reddit. So it's not really like a news thing, but if anything, go with Gamer Escape, yeah.
Yeah, I would, you stole my number one, which is Gamer Escape. Great site. While you're there, check out the Aetheryte Radio. Great podcast by the team over there at Gamer Escape. Definitely worth watching. It's 150 times better than this one.
Wow, that was a steep multiplier.
I know. They're good guys. They're good guys. They know
they are good guys.
They know their shit. They got a great show. No, just think of...
We got to make it only like 50 or something.
No, but just think of how good that show must be, because this one's pretty damn good.
I was on an episode of Aetheryte Radio right after Fan Festival. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, they're good guys and girls over there. Love their podcast. And then obviously check out Gamer Escape for info. XIVDB, of course, is a good one to go to. A little, sometimes there's not a lot of commenting stuff that helps out, since it is just a database. It does have that Wowhead feel, but it doesn't have that Wowhead feel in that when you go to the database and look something up, there's hundreds of comments that can help you tweak for whatever particular quest or something that you're on while you were looking up that item, but still a great site to go to as far as looking up, what the hell is this drop for? I've never seen this in the game. So those would be my two. Stevie O'Shea. What do you think? I gotta stop tapping the desk. Somebody yelled at me for that last episode. I apologize.
The nervous thing.
No, it's a talk showy thing. You know, one of those, those types of. And I don't mean to blow people's ears out. I'm gonna tie my hands to the desk from now on.
Whoa! I didn't know it was that kind of episode. That's...
Yeah. Now they're only 80 times better than us, not 150. Okay. Stevie O'Shea says, what do you think of the game for people who struggle to find a group to raid for Coil? Will 3.0 be better for this? I gotta go with no. It's probably
I'm gonna go with yes because of Alexander Easy, but I mean if you had trouble finding one for Coil, then finding one for Alexander Hard's not gonna be any easier. That much I'll say. But I mean by then you'll have the Gold Saucer, you'll have more PvP maps, I don't care what you have to say, Burn. I don't care what you have to say about that. That's a new feature. The Gold Saucer with the Triple Triad, the Chocobo Racing, we'll have the easy mode raid, whatever that ends up actually being like. We'll have the new jobs to level, have more crafting, more gathering. You'll have the free company crafting. You'll have the free company airships. There'll be more stuff to do, so you won't have to worry as much about beating Alexander hard mode.
Yeah, I'm going to go with no, and just because of the way the question is phrased. It's, do you think the game? What do you think of the game for people who struggle to find a group to raid for Coil? So it's not, to me, it doesn't sound like the Coil challenge is the problem. It's actually just finding a group to go and do it. Well, yes, I see what you're saying, that the easy mode is going to open up accessibility a little bit, and so more people will be doing it, so it might be easier to find a group that can do it, but I don't know if that changes the number of people that actually want to go and do that stuff. So I'm going to go with it's probably not going to change too much, but there'll be more of an opportunity to go and do it if you want to. Make sense? Did that make sense at all?
Respectable.
Made sense? Okay.
Yeah.
Because it was total bullshit. No, I'm kidding. That's honestly what I feel on that one. You said
because of this way I have to do the show with my ear out like this. People are like, you're wearing your headset wrong. No.
See, I don't have that problem. Well, you don't have that problem because you're rating with what is it, Death and Taxes now. So you've got your gang. I've got my Game Breaker Nation people. I'm not in enough. Well, I'll stop on that front because that actually addresses a question that comes a little later. Yeah. RoboSizzle says, will the requirements for the War and Lion Bear be dropped? I don't tank Coil or X extremes, but I always tank lower dungeons. Just think it's a good way to get tanks in a story dungeon. Have you gotten either of these yet?
I never.
I know you
were. I tanked the occasional Primal, and that's it. But yeah, I don't see why. I mean, they want that's what they want those tanks for, the content where it's really stressful to find a tank. For story dungeons and whatnot, I guess it depends if you mean low level, because for low level that would be more along the lines of just upping the rewards for low level stuff if you're max level. I don't know that it's necessarily just tanks,
I don't think they're going to be changing those requirements. I was kind of disappointed by those requirements too, because I don't tank much in Final Fantasy. I do in World of Warcraft and a few other MMOs. In Final Fantasy, I kind of stick to my DPS with the occasional heal here and there. Can't talk. Here and there. So I have tanked a little bit, and when I saw those mounts, I was like, I'll start tanking more because I want to get those 2 mounts. And then I saw how many you needed, and I was like, screw this. I don't want to tank that badly.
Just do turn 4, man. You'll have it done in like a day.
Right?
Do turn 4.
Brett Backpack in chat says, as someone whose favorite aspect of MMORPGs, I cannot talk today, is PvP, what do you think of the current status and future for PvP? I'll let you elaborate on it because my advice will be play a different game.
I'm not asking Burn that because Burn's going to be like, it's the worst.
If you're looking for PvP, play a different game. But Happy, if you want to actually talk about it, go ahead.
It's fun, but it's nothing to. You either want to do it or you don't. It's the bottom line. There needs to be more maps. Needs to be more rules. We know we're getting both those things. The Wolves then needs, an Elo-based system or a reason to do arenas. It's a more competitive thing, and people who play for the competitiveness of it want to be rewarded in a different kind of way. I really don't see a point in the Wolves then unless they add a rating system, which they said they're going to do also. So right now, not enough. In like 6 to 9 months, it'll be respectable. If we get Capture the Flag before Destiny in 2.5, I'll be pretty happy.
You really think, I mean, honestly, in your heart of hearts, you really think that Final Fantasy XIV PvP will be respectable at some point, as far as MMORPG PvP goes?
Yeah. Battlegrounds are always a cluster of just hilarity.
Out of your damn mind. There's no way. It's not good. It's not. And I don't see it getting better.
You gotta have one of those good Wolves Den matches where you're actually playing up against people.
Oh, okay, wait a minute. So I've got to have that one good match that takes me 45 minutes to an hour to queue for.
A rating system
and then
would
maybe I'll magically get it. Come on.
A rating system would fix that problem, because then you'd always have good games.
Now, see, I've actually done the Wolves Den. I've never done Frontlines. It just holds no interest for me. So I can at least speak to the Wolves Den. I let Happy speak to the Frontlines portion because he's just enamored with it. It's the best thing frickin' ever. I hate the Wolves Den. It's terrible, and I don't see them.
You're a black mage. Every black mage hates the Wolves Den. Everyone's like, I can't cast anything!
No, I don't have a problem with that, because I get it. I get what my role is. My role is, if I get that chance to nuke and take down in 3 seconds, do it. Other than that, I'm going to control the battle for everybody else. I get my role in Wolves Den. But it's just not good. It really isn't.
Yo, you gotta get more details, man.
Okay, the map is this big. Okay? There's 2 walls that you can hide behind. And everybody's
just 4 pillars.
Oh, God, get the hell out of here.
Actually, I think
I don't
there's
even
more
want to talk about this anymore. There's 4 pillars. That's your retort. The Wolves Den isn't that bad. It's got pillars.
Like you're not there.
It's got pillars. Get the hell out of here.
It's got pillars.
All right, what's next?
Oh, you know what? Now that you bring it up, though, I would like more maps for the Wolves Den also to make it better. That's a big part of competitive arena. I would like more maps.
Yeah, I mean, they need more maps. They need a some type of ranking system. They need a better queuing process. They need more incentive to actually go and do it. There's so much that they need before it's even a respectable PvP process that I don't think they're ever going to get there. I just don't.
They'll get there eventually.
I don't think so, because the bulk of their player base doesn't want it.
Because they didn't do it right in the first place.
Oh, that's why.
It's like, oh, they actually made it worth doing? Huh,
it couldn't have anything to do with the game's core systems. Its core systems just really aren't in tune for the type of action PvP people want to play anymore.
Like I said, when you get a good Wolves Den game, it changes your mind. Like, holy crap, this is like, I don't even know how to end this game. It's just attack. I don't...
Michael Bruin asks, do you think we will have to beat Alex easy mode before we can go into the harder version, or will we have the choice right off the bat? So we already know that you will not have to have cleared all the binding coil turns to access Alex. So take it one step further. Do you have to clear easy Alex before you go to the harder version, which they are touting as harder than the binding coil? Or are you going to be able to queue right off the bat here? I'm going to go with you're going to need to clear easy to open up the harder version, if for no other reason than to draw out the world first race. If for no other reason besides
if for no other reason, but I'd just say look at the rest of the game. Like, when have you ever not had to do that, pretty much?
Right.
Like, you always had to beat story mode before you could do extreme. You had to beat second coil before you could do savage, is another good example. You have to beat second coil to even do third coil. So they seem to like sort of separating the player base in that sort of way, I guess is the right way to put it. They've been doing it all this time. It has, to me, nothing to do with other than past experiences that I think they'll keep them separate.
Yeah, and I think when we're talking about the easier version of this, I think like guilds like yours and the Blue Garters of the world and things like that, they're going to be able to clear that as soon as they hit 60 with the gear they're wearing from questing. That's the way I envision the difficulty of that going, that a top-tier rating team like Blue Garter isn't going to have a problem with easy in the regular gear. Yeah, but I agree with you. You're going to have to clear. Yeah, it's easy.
Normal.
It's easy. Go read the forums. It's easy. Michael Bruin actually shelled out a few questions here, so these next couple are his too. Can you each cover what your plan at attacking 3.0 is? Every big patch, there's just so much to do. Just want to see what we're going to do. Why don't you go first, Happy?
50, 60, Alexander easy, Alexander hard, everything else.
Well, that was short and sweet and to the point.
Yeah, I know, the complete opposite of everything I've done, right?
Yeah, I'm going to get Black Mage to 60, and then I will probably do the easy Alex just to clear it and to watch my whole story. I don't know if I'm going to start tackling... Again, I'm not in a particular raid group. We'll get to that question later down, and where my rating status is right now. So I don't know if I'll be jumping into the Alex hard version right off the bat like that. I think I'm going to hit 60 with my Black Mage, clear Alex easy to get my story fix in, and then I'll go from there. I'm
curious if we're going to have to beat the extreme or the hard mode primals to get into Alex. That's another thing.
I would assume so.
Well, the thing is, when the game first came out, we had the hard modes were like hard modes. They weren't like the hard modes we have now, where it's just for the sake of getting through the story pretty much. But they gated the access to Alexander, so it makes me wonder if they'll do that with... Because I'm assuming hard modes, again, are going to be story-related, and that we'll have extremes at the launch of those. Are we going to have to get through the extremes to get to Alex? I can't imagine because of Alex Easy and Extreme. I don't know how those two relate to each other.
Next up, how do you think they'll introduce new primals in the future? Same as before or in a different way? So will we have the beast tribes summoning primals? Primal comes down, we kill a bunch of the beasts, we kill the primal, then we get the extreme version of it? Or do we see things maybe warping into a new formula? I'm going to go with new formula. I'm going to go with a new formula here, because we've exhausted the beast tribes we have now, for the most part. The goblins are going to be taking care of bringing Alex down, which is kind of a step away from that normal formula anyway. So I would assume the primals are going to take on a new, maybe with the Asians or something like that, away from the beast tribes being summoners.
Having said that, we know that there are two primals with two beast tribes right now.
Off the bat, yes. Yeah.
Yes. But Yoshi P has said that if you thought Shiva was different, wait till you see the new ones that are coming in. They're going to be even more different than Shiva was.
What job are you leveling first after 3.0? Michael Bruin is doing Astrologian. I am going right for Astrologian as well. What about you?
My inner Final Fantasy XI just calls me to one place. The Dark Knight. I have to do it.
That might actually get me to tank a little more than I do right now. I don't even think my warrior or my pally are level 50. I think they're like floating between 30 and 45 just because I abandoned them a while ago. But Dark Knight... I
abandoned my paladin at 47, halfway through 47. I was like, I don't...
Finish that one off.
I don't even want to do it.
I think Dark Knight
I'll do it the day before Heavensward launches. That way I can be like, there, ready.
So neither one of us going for Machinist.
I don't know. I'm curious about Machinist, but it's not one that I'm itching to play. I'm curious. I think that's... We'll save that talk for another time.
No, go ahead, man. It's an all-access special.
No, man, this is going off on a tangent. We don't...
Who cares?
Now you know that's what I do.
Go for it. Who cares?
I just think, like... I think Machinist is going to be... Some people think it's going to be, like, Hunter from World of Warcraft. If I had to compare it to any WoW class, I think it's going to be like Shaman, but with, like, a gun. I think the turrets are going to act like totems, and I'm just not interested in that.
I'd say that's a fair assessment.
Yeah. I mean, if it ends up playing different than that and I end up loving it, so be it. But as of right now, I have no impression of it other than it's a ranged DPS and they can lay turrets down, so I'd rather play Dark Knight.
I'm going Astrologian and then probably Dark Knight. And then sitting there and crying because my Red Mage still isn't in there.
Sorry, man, 4.0.
4.0. Michael Bruin's final question here. I think it's the last one I grabbed from him. What do you think deep down that the free company airship will actually do for us? It can't just be travel, right? We've got to fight on it.
PvP!
Oh. You're hurting my head.
They seem to have it almost as if they're like houses in the sky, because they mentioned, I'm trying to remember it exactly, but they mentioned like an area, like how you can't actually use the airships and flying mounts in the old areas, but that the free company airships are kind of like above all that in the sky. It almost makes me think we're just going to be flying around, we're going to see other free company airships all over the place doing whatever. I don't know. I'm curious because I have no idea what this thing could possibly do other than give us access to some form of anything. I don't know, free company versus free company PvP, something, I don't know.
So we have shitty PvP, and now we're going to have shitty airplane battles, airship battles,
siege PvP. We're gonna man the cannons and destroy all the other airships.
What a mess! What a mess! I actually wouldn't be opposed to seeing something like that. I don't want them to. And I do have to say, Yoshi P is usually good at this. Every time I see something, I'm like, oh god, that's just a fan service item, and then it gets utilized in some really cool way, and I'm like, okay, I could see this. So I hope airships is the same way. It's like, oh great, yeah, we can all build our airship, and now we can travel to these different places, and that's fantastic. But is this really just fan service? I think, yeah, Yoshi P's probably got something in store. Sky Pirates, that's what it should be. Yes.
I thought of Sky Pirates. I thought of that.
Oh, what was the name? Skies of Arcadia. Great Sky Pirate game. But I digress. Randy Doan says, Doan? I should really know how to pronounce Randy's last name, considering that I've played with him. Any chance Square Enix could make an app to be able to talk to your free company members, buy, sell on the auction house, like other popular MMOs have? They could, sure. Are they going to? No.
Who the hell knows? They've mentioned the auction house one before, but it would have to go through your retainer on top of that. Like it's not as simple as just go to the auction house. It would then have to be a retainer app altogether to be able to go through your retainer and, check out your funds and send it on ventures, and that sounds like a reasonable app to have. It's just, is that a priority for them, really?
It would definitely be cool to have, because since you have to already put the retainer programming in there anyway, there's no reason why you couldn't add ventures to the mobile app, since you're already controlling the retainer as well. Again, I mean, that sounds cool, and it would be awesome if they did it. I don't think they're going to do it, though. I mean, we're still waiting for the API to open up for add-ons in the game itself. We're going to get Triple Triad app, and you're going to be, well, Japan is at least, and you're going to have to be happy with that.
We were so worried about that app when we saw it.
Yeah, we were. Oh, yeah, we were.
No fears anymore, sir.
Yep, that was when this show restarted. We were talking about restarting this show for a week or two, and then we saw the price of weddings, and we were like, it's time to record!
And we saw the app thing. That was...
Yeah. Yeah,
it all came together. We're just like, oh god, this has to happen.
Oh yeah. Chris Radford says, do you think they'll release a new job between the launch of 3.0 and 4.0 like they did with Ninja between 2.0 and 3.0? I'm going to say no. I think the only reason Ninja came out is because it was pretty much just about done when the game itself launched, and there was no reason to hold it back when they had plans for more in the expansion anyway. I don't think they're one ahead on the class/job stuff anymore. So I'm going to predict that no, we won't see one mid-expansion. I'm
also just... 13 jobs and the party size is 8 jobs. I don't want to see that go to 14 with 8 jobs. Not unless there's some major reworking. I think maybe between 4 and 5, but not between 3 and 4.
So we haven't disagreed on too much here, although we are disagreeing on the PvP
well, something's wrong with us tonight.
Dedenstein, Mike's beginner videos, that would be Mr. Happy's beginner videos, got me to give 14 a second try. In your opinion, what best third-party resource sites for a 14 noob? Well, we already recommended Gamer Escape. We already recommended XIV DB. Obviously, Mr. Happy, your guides are a good place to start, especially...
Honestly, I didn't even think about that, so thanks for reminding.
Especially your newer ones that are specifically tailored at new players and taking them through the whole leveling experience as well.
I am still so surprised on a day-to-day basis how many new player symbols I see now that I'm playing that character. Like, it's a lot more than I thought. Now I know why Gilgamesh is always shut down.
Of course, Reddit. Another one I watch a lot on YouTube is Miztech, MTQ Capture. Great videos there, too. So tons of resources. There's a whole list of 6 for you. There you go. Actually, on Reddit, there are specifically guides as well for brand new players or returning players coming back. So you've got a ton of resources there. Check out Happy's first couple of videos. It'll get you in the feel for it, and then you can expand from there as you're beating more and more content. What are you doing? Are you posing because I plugged your videos?
No. You're like just taking a.
MTQ Capture, yeah, is on Behemoth. Absolutely love her videos. Aelwyn, who is part of the Game Breaker Nation, says, with all the classes' limit breaks being different soon, in what way do you think Scholar and White Mage will differ? I'm going to let you answer that one, because when I heal, historically, even though both Scholar and White Mage are max level, I'm pretty much always Scholar. I've seen you play both, so I'm going to let you take this one.
You've seen me play White Mage? You must have seen that.
You're leveling up! You're leveling up as a White Mage.
That doesn't count. Doesn't count. They're just going to have different animations. They're going to do the same thing. The only limit break they said that was going to literally do something different was the Bard one. And it's being changed from a healer to whatever else they had planned for it. They didn't go flat out and say DPS. They just said it won't be a healer limit break anymore. So I just think the animation will be different. Same with like Summoner versus Black Mage. I'm hoping to see like a giant Ifrit pop up and just destroy everything, a la Astral Flow. And yeah, that's it. I'm also curious how the tanks are going to be different. Scholar and White Mage, like I'd imagine Paladin would keep the giant wall. What the heck is Warrior going to get? And what the heck is Dark Knight going to get? What's Astrologian going to get? Just a giant, what is it, like Super Mario Star comes out of the sky and makes everybody better again?
You okay? You seem kind of worked up there.
I want to know. I got to refresh again. That's the problem.
The site is not up, you goof.
I haven't refreshed in 30 minutes. That's the problem.
Oh, before we get to the rest of these questions, while that goofball's checking to see if the site's up, I'm going to tell you guys about our sponsor, Audible. Audible's been a sponsor here on Game Breaker for a very, very long time. How do you support Game Breaker and shows like this, besides just coming out and watching it live or watching on YouTube? You support our sponsors. That supports us as well. And Audible's been here for a long time. Right now, if you head on over to audible.com/gamebreaker, you're going to get 30 free days of the service plus a free audio book. And I've got one here if you want to check it out. If you're into MMORPGs, Ready Player One by Ernest Cline is a great book. And on Audible, it's even narrated by Mr. Will Wheaton himself. Let's take a little listen.
All of my favorite news and entertainment vid feeds. Among these was my own channel, Parzival TV, broadcasting obscure eclectic crap, 24/7, 365. Earlier that year, GSS had added a new feature to every Oasis user's account, the POV, Personal Oasis Vid Feed channel. It allowed anyone who paid a monthly fee to run their own streaming television network.
Great service, great book too. So even if you haven't read it or haven't heard it, check it out. Ready Player One, definitely recommend it. By Ernest Cline. Check it out on Audible. It could be your free book by using this URL, audible.com/gamebreaker. All right, moving on. Here we go. More questions.
I refreshed like 3 or 4 times.
It's not up. Gee, I'm surprised.
No. At least I'm absolutely sure that the Heavensward screenshot contest is underway.
Yeah, absolutely 100% sure. I did have one more Michael Bruin question here. Byrne, you are back into raiding. Are you back into raiding? And if so, what are you currently working on? Don't remember where you left off. So Happy, your answer real quick is you're done. You know, you've done all of the coils and everything. My personal rating, I am on turn 9. I've cleared 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the first coil, and then 1, 2, 3 in the second coil. So I'm on turn 4 of the second coil, or turn 9 overall. I haven't cleared that one personally yet. I don't have a static raid group. My group in the Gamebreaker Nation kind of fell apart about 8 or 9 months ago, and then I took a month or two off because of shows anyway, and then came back. So I've been pugging a lot of that stuff. Gamebreaker Nation, though, does have a number of groups that are further than me, that they're in the final coil and working through those turns as well, and those are particularly static groups. So working on getting a group back together. If it happens, it happens. If not, then, you know, whatever. I'll just pug it. So I'll be a little behind happy. I don't care. I don't care. I don't feel the pressure to catch you.
It's all right. Alexander Easy's coming out. You won't need Final Coil.
There you go. Brandon Sizchowski says, so I finally cleared T5 through 7. Do you think there'll be any enticing reason after the expansion to go back and do Coil? My answer is one word. Nope.
Easy.
Okay,
man.
maybe glamour. Maybe glamour. If you're really into that, I'm not. I don't care about getting the tank mounts anymore, so for me, no.
The story, man. The story. The story.
Brandon also asked, do you think that any other Aetherites will be present in Heavensward? So far, I've only seen Ishgards. I would hope so. I would hope so. You don't think so?
I think there's a very good reason we've only seen one Aetheryte.
Oh, come on. Give us the scoop. What are you thinking?
I just think that they're going to want us to explore other avenues of traveling, a la free company airships, a la flying mounts, a la, hey, I can't just teleport everywhere in the world and completely ignore everything else.
Well, why couldn't you do that and have Aetherites? It's basically what they did with the World at 2.0 launch. You still had to explore it and attune to them before you could use them.
Yeah, and then once you had them, your pockets cried.
Oh, come on! Nobody's pockets are crying because of that.
Oh,
do you remember
surprised.
Do you remember Anima? That was even worse.
No, that was me crying with Anima. That's not the same as your pockets crying. But I mean, it's just you can skip over so much of the world and you lose an appreciation for it. And a lot of people think that's what the flying mounts would do, but if anything, the Aetherites are what did that in the first place. So if they're looking to make that not be a problem with the flying mounts, I'd imagine they'd take away the Aetherites while they were at it too. Just very, if anything, very limited, like Corthus limited. Like, hey, there's one here, and every time I get an Alexandrite map, it's in the friggin' bottom left of the map, and I gotta run all the way over there, or I gotta go through Mordona.
That's the way I see it going down. Is a little more limited, but definitely more than one. I don't think they're going to put just one in Ishgard and call it a day. Now, I might go as far with you to say as, at launch, there's only one in Ishgard, and the rest are like under construction type deal, and will be powered up in, 3.1 or 3.15, something like that. But
when Mordona expands the Dravanian Forlands.
Right, but there's definitely going to be more than one. Come on. Bradley Adams, do we have any better idea what the etheric wheel is now? Not really. And we still only have one real big quote on it. It's related to airships and free company crafting, but that's really all we know. Here's the quote. And this one in particular is from MMORPG.com. However, I have seen this exact quote in multiple interviews that Yoshi P has done. We are currently planning for patch 2.5, not this next one, but the one coming after that. We're planning to incorporate a mechanic for free company crafting. Again, this is an older quote. So if you have free company housing and you can set up a basement shop where you have your own crafting room for your free company where your members can do your activities in that space. One of the first items you can make with your free company crafting is the Ethereal wheel. It might not have been announced just yet, but that's the first thing you'll be able to build with the free company crafting. And so you can expand on that, and in the expansion, one of the recipes will include having your free company build your team's airship. So once you build your free company airship, you can select which players can board that and would access certain areas that only your airship can access. Interesting. Areas that only the airships can access, and go into battle and explore that area. maybe lends a little credence to Mr. Happy's airship PvP. That's the gist of it right now. What do you think? Anything else besides it's going to be crafting related for Free Company?
See, yeah, that's the thing, because they're making it seem like this isn't related to the airship. This is just one of many recipes.
Right, for Free Company crafting.
And even the airship is like, so what are these things that we're crafting that's not the airship is what I want to know, like the Ethereal wheel.
What's it going to do? I don't know. Who knows?
I want to know. I need to refresh. Hold on. Okay, no, haven't turned screenshot.
Bradley Adams says, how do you think cross-class skills will be used in the expansion? For example, will Dark Knight be able to pull over Provoke? We kind of talked about this a little bit a week or two ago and started speculating on some of the cross-class abilities. I would venture a guess if on that specific one, will Dark Knight be able to pull Provoke? I'm going to go with no, because I think there's a different set of skills and a different mentality going into Dark Knight and the way it's going to be controlled for tanking, that one really doesn't apply. If I could answer that specific one.
Yeah, I'm curious if the new jobs are going to utilize the cross-class system all that much. They got it in some way or another, but Provoke, I think they might give Dark Knight more of the tools on their own and then let the cross-class system expand upon the job itself, not give you mandatory things that you absolutely need. Let that be part of the job itself, and then the cross-classes give you a real sense of choice, you know?
Absolutely. Bradley Adams also asks, actually the rest of these are Bradley Adams. We're getting to the bottom of the list here, about 3 questions left. So if you want to get a question in real quick, hit Twitter, use hashtag XIV Reborn, the name of the show. We'll try and grab 1 or 2 off of Twitter to cap off the show. So if you want to get it in, now's the time. Cutoff points coming up in a couple of minutes. Bradley Adams also asked, do you think that Alexander will be staggered after the expansion to give players a chance to level, story, / play new jobs? So I guess the question's kind of like with World of Warcraft, right? And expansions previous to Warlords. When the expansion drops, the first raid doesn't open up for 3 or 4 weeks after the expansion, so that there's no cluster going into there. I took the last 2 first. I have an answer for this one. I think we're going to agree on this one, but I'll let you go first.
I'm going to say no. The problem with staggering the launch of a raid is that when it comes out, it gets completely destroyed server side, and we know how Square Enix is with server issues. So if they were to do this, then everybody would do their best to exhaust everything else in the time that they had, and then everyone would try going in Alexander, same day, same time. Everyone would have the same goal. We would just crash all the time, 90Ks, disconnects, everything. I think it would be, as good as it sounds on paper, I think it would result in a disaster, to be honest.
I like it on paper. It gives everybody, especially those people that are in the higher-end guilds that are going to compete for World First, at least they have a little bit of time where they can just enjoy the game for a couple of weeks before it's going to become a job.
You don't know what this entails, do you?
Right.
Because there's nothing you enjoy in that
like,
time. The whole time it's like, guys, you got to have exactly all these things done. We have a whole week.
You get like 2 hours of actual enjoyment, and then the rest of it is, you got 3 weeks to finish this off. But I'm going to say no for a different reason, and that's because it just doesn't fit with their release schedules. And the way they intertwine 2 raiding stories and they leapfrog patch to patch to patch to patch, I don't think they would want to go 1 patch or even a 0.5 type patch to drop the raid in. I just don't think it's part of their plan with their release schedule. Again from Bradley Adams, are either of you planning to do a 24-hour binge stream for the release of the expansion? What are your priorities for content? We already talked about priorities. I'm not going to be doing a 24-hour binge stream. I will do a stream when it goes live, provided they're not having server issues and everything that stop that. It won't be 24 hours, but I will be streaming, and we'll also be doing an unboxing of the physical collector's set. I would imagine you're probably going to be streaming too. Are you planning a 24-hour all-nighter?
Well, I am. I don't know that it's going to be a full 24 hours, but the big thing is basically, I'm just going to be streaming myself going through the story, because if Alexander's available, kind of going in there. And I probably won't be able to stream that for a while.
Nope, that'll be under lockdown. That'll be under lockdown. Bradley Adams again. Do you think the evolution of the definition of a primal is leading somewhere? I'd liked this question, because we have seen the primal start as what we've historically always thought of as a primal or a summon, and it's kind of started to shift a little bit here. You know, we had first it was with King Mog, and you're like, well, that's not really technically okay. Fine, it's kind of all right. I'll give you that one. And we've seen it keep going. And then Alexander, we kind of thought maybe before we knew about Heavensward and what it was going to entail, Alexander at some point definitely that's got to be a primal, right? No, now it's a huge big raid. So, where do you see this leading?
Well, here's the thing. Binding Coil of Bahamut, that was technically a primal centralized story as well. Alexander being another primal centralized raid type story. We got Shiva, who didn't really have a beast tribe, but did have followers and believers. The way they were manifested into this world was different. We have Odin, who I'm imagining we've gotten some backstory on him in the side quest, but it's basically just a why the heck, what the heck, what's he back for? What? And I'm hoping we'll expand upon that in 2.5, what he is and how he differs, why he's here, and how he's sustained. Because he's not like Bahamut, who has, you know, who has the coils. He's not like Shiva, who has followers, so how does Odin exist? He's different from the last one. And then Yoshi P's been telling us about how they're going to be even more different when it comes in Heavensward. So I think that at this point the primals are just going to constantly keep confusing and changing, and that the definition is going to become broader and broader and broader.
I.e., Yoshi's just going to do whatever the hell he wants.
Of course he is.
All right, a couple from Twitter here before we call it a night, gang. Tim O says, if Dark Knight, Machinist, and Astrologian are getting cross classes, which classes? Also, what skins did Rito give you?
I know who asked that now.
Kappa.
So, Dark Knight, don't call me crazy for this one, okay?
You're crazy.
Promise?
Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't answer. I'll wait.
You promise you won't call me crazy?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm not promising.
I think one of their cross classes, if they pull from anything, is going to be Rogue.
Huh. Would you stop refreshing?
I was actually I was on Twitter this time, but now
okay. I just saw your lighting go, like you clicked refresh
like
on
this?
the yeah.
Yeah, I went between a few different screens, and then as soon as you said it, I went and did this. When my face gets dark, it means I'm refreshing it. I was actually went to Twitter to try and see the questions. I think Rogue. I think they're gonna get perfect dodge because that's actually a cross-class ability.
Yeah, it makes sense. I can't call you an idiot on that one.
And Goad.
What about Machinist and Astrologian?
Machinist, Archer. I think that's fair. I mean, I can't imagine them really getting too much else. The thing is, any melee DPS, I immediately assume they're going to have Lancer at this point. Unless they have a built-in tool for their own TP resource.
I can see Machinist maybe going Black Mage, too. Pick up things like Swift Cast, stuff like that.
I would have expected you to say that for Dark Knight, if anything.
No.
Because
your thing for Dark Knight makes a lot more sense. Like
but you know
gut reaction. Dark Knight I pair with Black Mage, but your methodology, your mind there, it makes sense. So now I've got to move Black Mage because I don't want them left out of the mix, and I'm going to move them to Machinist before I move them to Astrologian because that one really just doesn't make sense.
Swiftcast and Surecast and Astrologian.
Beneficial. I'm going to give it to Machinist anyway, just to be contrarian.
Just because you know it bothers me.
Yep, it bothers you a lot. Wrecked, what do you think Square Enix is going to do with Zodiacs in the expansion, and is there a point in grinding to get one? Now, I feel like we answer this every week. Every week we get this.
Every time we get to this question, I'm just like, just end the show. We can't do this one.
So Happy's already gone on record multiple times saying there's probably not going to be much of a point to these ones come 3.0. I tend to be optimistic because I'm still working on mine, and so I really just want them to be relevant, and I'm going to say that the story, yes, it is worth it getting one now because they're going to play into some aspect of some upgrade in Heavensward. Maybe that's just me being the eternal optimist because I'm still working on mine.
I'm still working on one.
You're still working on what? Your second, third? Which one is it? Second?
Second. It's full crit and determination, too, so I put some money into this.
Last question. Kalakaruga says, do you think we'll have regular open-world NMs in Heavensward, not in any way connected to the hunt? Maybe they drop gear or items. I've always wanted them back in, even though Happy hates the idea of putting NMs in the game. I've always liked it. I like that competition of first tag. I'd call me nuts and old school, but I loved that aspect of Final Fantasy XI. If it was in 14, I don't know how often I would do it, because I don't really have the patience for that anymore, but I would not be opposed to it being there. I would love for it to be there. Happy? Nope.
I actually think there will be something along those lines that's not the hunt, because they stress that flying around to the different islands and fighting enemies and looking for treasures, whatever the heck that means, would be a legitimate play style. And while I'm not a big fan of the more competitive aspect, as you said it, I am for making difficult open-world bosses, even if they are to be triggered by a group similar to the treasure hunts, but something a bit more challenging than the treasure hunts we have now, and that are adequately rewarding. Like, imagine if a hunt enemy was instead spawned through the use of an item. Sort of like that.
How about BCNMs? Would you be okay with those?
I would love that back.
You'd be okay with those?
No problem with that. That would get me... You know how often I'd be in Nadalin farming Beastman seals? Or, like, I'm farming Beastman seals all the time. And only if the music comes back, though.
All right, go ahead and refresh. See if it's up. While he's looking, that's Mr. Michael Poveromo. You know him as Mr. Happy. You can find him on Twitter at MrHappy1227. Where else can everybody find you at?
You can find me on YouTube at Xehanort1227, as odd as that is. Twitter at MrHappy1227. Facebook, MrHappy1227. And Twitch, MrHappy1227. And to my great dismay, it is not there.
I told you it wasn't going to make it up to the end of the show here. I'm Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magic Man. You can follow me right there on Twitter at MagicMan1, MAGICKMANN1. And until next time, gang, stay safe, and we'll see you out on the servers.